Randy Altshuler is lying to you. The fact is, Altshuler's company sent thousands of American jobs to foreign countries.
The company's really bad. Sri Lanka, the Philippines, wherever we can find the best talent.
Time magazine said Altshuler was, quote, devoted to making outsourcing happen. Randy Altshuler, the only American job he's ever worried about protecting is his own.
And that one American job was lost.
I'm Tim Bishop, and I approve this message.
You've seen the commercial. It's time to meet the people. This is the best place for all your computer needs. Behind me are the best technical staff for repairs, new systems, networking, and web design. Why go anywhere else?
Executive Computer World, located at 57 West Sunrise Highway, Lindenhurst, 1 block west of Wellwood.
Tell them Harold sent you.
When you go away for a weekend or family vacation, send your furry friend to Best in Show Pet Resort, a vacation for canines and cats. Best in Show has accommodations for every budget, plus daycare, a dedicated and caring staff to pamper your pet, and a veterinarian on call 24/7 at the 20,000 square foot fully alarmed resort, so there's no need to worry. Don't forget our grooming, doggy day spa, and the finest selection of treats and toys. For the best care, the best service, it's Best in Show Pet Resort, 244 Herricks Road, Mineola.
We're fans of Fios because Fios On Demand helps bring us together. With just a few clicks, we can access so many family films. It's a great way to spend quality time.
And we can watch on our own schedule, so it doesn't interfere with soccer practice.
Or dance class.
Or swim team.
Taekwondo.
Flugelhorn lessons. You start next week. It'll be fun.
Chicks dig the flugelhorn.
Watch hit movies up to 28 days before they're available on Netflix or Redbox, and you'll be a fan of Fios too. This is Fios.
Welcome back. Like the 27 other exonerees who came before him, Frank Sterling was finally a free man. And like those other 27 exonerees, his struggles were far from over.
It's over.
After almost 18 years in prison, Frank Sterling was proven to be an innocent man. Are you, Frank Sterling, an ex-convict?
No, I'm an exoneree.
But in New York, being an exoneree can be an additional sentence. When Frank Sterling walked out of that courtroom, he was a free man. But he also had no money, no savings, no home, and no prospects.
Many people that are wrongfully convicted come out, they're not in great health. They don't have any resources at all. Frank walked out with the clothes on his back.
However, on that day, Frank Sterling wasn't thinking too far into the future.
And when you first left the courthouse, the first place you wanted to go was where?
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur barbecue.
Dinosaur barbecue.
Why was that?
Because I love barbecue.
Frank and I retraced that journey he took from the courthouse to his first meal as a free man. He told me about how it felt to breathe free air and how large the world felt after almost 18 years of being locked up. It was the first time in years that he was able to go somewhere without being ordered to go.
Now, what was it like inside this first time in 18 years that people were waiting on you?
It felt weird. I didn't have to stand in line. I could actually sit down and have a beer after 18 years.
Yeah, right there.
It went down so smoothly and beautifully.
It was a well-deserved meal, but one someone else had to pay for. Frank Sterling didn't even have enough money to chip in for the tip. And after losing nearly 18 years to incarceration, Frank didn't have any employment history to help him get a job.
But when they asked for about the gap in time, then I got to explain, which a lot of people feel uncomfortable about.
You think people look at you differently because you spent, despite your innocence, you spent 18 years in prison?
Yeah.
One might think that if a person is wrongfully convicted and spends the bulk of their employment years incarcerated, there would be compensation. Well, not in New York.
They owe him an apology, they owe him compensation. But he may not be able to get it because one of the rules in New York State is if you're wrongfully convicted and you do anything to contribute to that conviction, then you're not entitled to monetary compensation later on. And they count a false confession right now as contributing to the conviction.
So a man spends 18 years in prison and he gets no compensation?
Could be. Many other states have statutes that require compensation or set a schedule for compensation. New York, to this point, has aggressively opposed compensation.
So in New York State, even if you are wrongfully convicted and did not contribute at all to that conviction, the state, once you're exonerated, can still oppose any type of compensation to you.
And they do. And they do. You know, there's sort of a schedule for wrongful incarceration for prisoners who are wrongfully sent to administrative segregation, solitary confinement, if you will, of $100 a day per day for wrongful administrative segregation. Well, you would think that the difference between being in prison and being in solitary is not as great as the difference between being in prison and being out of prison. So you would think it would be at least $100 a day, you know, as sort of a benchmark figure, but it doesn't really work out that way. There's a bit of legislation that's pending now that would remove this exclusion for false confessions from the compensation area. I don't know if it's going to pass or not, but you know, that's the beginning of a step in the right direction.
Frank Sterling continues to this day to literally live off the charity of others. He hasn't been able to find any employment and lives with a friend in the Rochester area. Melissa Lulo can certainly relate to Frank Sterling's situation. Her father, Dennis Halstead, spent 16 years behind bars for a crime he never committed. I recently caught up with Melissa at her Oceanside, Long Island home, where she opened up about her father's re-entry into society 5 years ago. Now, due to a pending civil suit, Melissa couldn't say much on behalf of her father, but she did share some observations she's made since her father was released from prison. The Dennis Halstead that you knew as a 10-year-old, how has he changed by the prison?
He's angry. He's just angry about what happened to him. You know, how we've all taken away from him. He's still very much similar, though. Like this morning, he's playing with my son, you know, and the way he's playing with my son is like exactly how I remember him playing with us, the same way, you know, like goofing around with us. It's just exactly how he played with us. I was making breakfast and I was smiling in the kitchen listening to him play with my son because that's what he did with us. When he first came out, I just remember I wanted to, like, I was afraid it was going to happen again. I didn't want him to be taken away. The second he walked out of that jail, I wanted him in my house, locked up. Like, I didn't want any cops around. That was my fear. It wasn't so much nightmares. It was real life. I don't want them to take him again.
So just how big of an adjustment is it to re-enter society after spending 16 years behind bars? Well, Melissa tells me when her father got out of prison, he didn't know how to use a cell phone, a computer, or even the power windows in the car. Next, for the first time, 3 exonerees, wrongfully convicted kindred spirits, meet and discuss their own personal nightmares of being innocent behind bars. You're watching Exonerated, Guilty Until Proven Innocent.
Attention furniture buyers.